Alright, let's see if I can get this chassis out. Got all the screws removed. Should slide themselves. Alright, so what have we got? Well, it's a bit dirty, a bit rusty. Not too bad though. Ooh, except that. It's the first bit of damage, real damage I've come across in this set. There's a tear in the speaker cone. I think that this bit originally went here. So a little tear there I can repair. So the only damage I see, the fusible resistor's intact. So the damage I see is the high voltage rectifier socket. Right up here, it's broken off and twisted around. There's two screws. This one I could glue back on. One up here. It's otherwise intact. This one, the material is completely gone. Maybe I can find some of the bits floating around. The debris that came out of the cabinet, but I don't think so. Well, deal with that eventually. Otherwise though, it actually looks to be good condition. All the parts are here. A little bit dusty, just a little bit of light surface corrosion here and there. This main board's especially easy because there's only 3 plastic film caps and a few resistors to check. That's about it. The bulk of the capacitors are on the board up front, which you can't get to unless you take the picture tube out. And then there's the stuff scattered around in here. Now, the last one I did, I powered it up and was able to reform the electrolytics and get some life out of it. Maybe I'll try doing that with this set too, but I want to clean it up a bit first so I can get a better idea exactly what I've got. Oh, and this is kind of annoying. The flyback cover is disintegrated. And a lot of guys have had trouble with newer sets where that's happened. So I think it's the first time I've had trouble with it. So this cover should go over the yoke, and then it's got centering ring magnets on it. I guess I'll root around. I've got a bit of a stash of yokes, and maybe I can find one that has similar size plastic. Otherwise, I guess I'll try to do something with this one. Not sure what it is, if it's heat, humidity, time, probably all 3 that make these disintegrate. after cleaning a bit and poking around and trying to replace some parts with the boards in place, I decided to just go for it and removed both the boards. Took plenty of reference photos. These wires are different colors, and I should be able to reattach them without too much difficulty. Plus, I have the original factory service info. And once I had the boards out, put them next to each other, I noticed something kind of interesting. They actually fit together almost like puzzle pieces, so I suspect when they made these boards, they made one rectangular board with both patterns on it and then just chopped this one out. Well, it doesn't fit perfectly, but that's my theory. I'm going with it. So, started recapping this board. Got a little bit of work left to do. And then there's this one. Aren't many capacitors. I already placed one. Another one needs to go in here, and then that guy. But I want to check all those resistors and maybe remove corrosion from these shield bases. Alright, I think I'm in the home stretch. All capacitors have been replaced. All out-of-spec resistors have been replaced. Now I gotta start putting this thing all back together. Now, as far as the electrolytics go, these two are just gone. They are now mounted on this terminal strip, which is going to get mounted down below where the big filament dropper used to be. Now, in place of that, we've got this 3 amp diode and this little thermistor. Here's my new 2.2 ohm fusible resistor, safety cap across the AC line, silicon diodes 1N4007 to replace the seleniums, and here's the 2 filter caps. Nice neat assembly. All get mounted right down here. Well, there was one other multi-section can capacitor up in here. I removed this bit of metal and used a hacksaw and cut it open, removed the insides, drilled some holes, and mounted the largest of the 3 replacement caps inside, and the others I located here and there. One is here, and the final one is here. And the cap that used to be here and the cap that used to be here are now mounted on this convenient terminal strip up here. Alright, so what's left is to install this and wire it in, and then remount these 2 boards. Do this one first, which goes right here. Got all these little wires that need to go back in to these little solder cup things. I took plenty of reference photos, and I got the service manual. And worst case scenario, I can take the other one of these that I restored and pop it open and take a peek for reference, but I don't think it'll come to that. What makes this especially annoying is, notice I've got some leads extending out and some components mounted. Well, that's how they did this. Some of the wiring consists of like taking a cap and mounting it from here and then directly over to this tube socket. So it's not just a matter of rehooking these wires, you've got to extend some components out as well. And including 2 of these leads. Instead of attaching wires, they just have the bare leads coming out because they attached nearby. I believe one connects right here, and I think the other right there. Okay, I got this board remounted and rewired. I'm pretty sure I got it all correct. I'm turning my attention to this damaged high voltage rectifier socket. For the time being, I'm just going to go with it as is because I'm going to get this out working first. And right now I'm inspecting it a little more closely, and I notice there's a resistor inside. Should be 3.9 ohms. That goes in series with the rectifier tube filament, and that is way high. It's reading more like 8, which would restrict the current flow through the high voltage rectifier and perhaps cause it to not perform as well as it should, which could result in decreased decreased high voltage. So I want to replace that. And I also pulled out the tube along with all the other tubes, and I want to test these. I noticed that a lot of them are Admiral branded. I'd say a little more than half, but certainly some have been replaced. I'm going to go ahead and test them all, and then get everything wired back up and try doing a power-up test. And I'll do it with just the tube filaments first to make sure I have continuity, and then we'll engage the B+. Okay, got all the tubes back in their sockets, and I'm ready for first power-up test. And for this, I'm leaving the picture tube disconnected. In its place, I've got a dummy load resistor. And I have not connected up the B+ to the set. I just want to see if the filaments all light up. So, plugged into my isolation transformer, and here we go. Alright, drawn about 550 milliamps, and all the filaments are glowing. Excellent, excellent. Power switch works. Alright, so next up, I need to reinstall the CRT, which has lost all of its DAG coating, and this set definitely needs it. There is no other filter capacitor on the high voltage, so I will rig up a simple substitute with a piece of aluminum foil. And on this set, the ground is this spring here, so between this spring and the CRT, which goes in like so, I need to put some foil, so I'll put some aluminum foil up here. And I've still got that damaged yoke, so I won't have any centering magnets, but I think it'll work fine without that. Let's see, I'll need to reinstall this, which supports the CRT. It goes underneath this board down here, and then it rests up against these two guys. So it goes in like so. Okay, got the CRT installed. My temporary DAG coating secured with some masking tape. And I've hooked a B+. And I got my voltmeter on that B+ supply, which should get about 255 volts at full power. Don't expect to get an image even if everything works right, because I will have to adjust this ion trap magnet. So, without further ado, here we go. Tubes are warming up, conducting power. I hear high voltage crackling. I hear sound, noise anyways. B+ holding steady, it's good. A little bit of sound coming through. Just read that the FCC has extended the deadline on killing the low power FM TV station, so I may be able to keep using channel 6 quite some time to come. Very distorted sound, but we have sound. No. How about an image? So I believe brightness is his bottom control down here. And as I crank that brightness up, it's definitely having an effect on the sound of the system. I'm going to try to reach in here and adjust this magnet without electrocuting myself or anything. I might also have this magnet on backwards. I should refer to my photos when I first got this set. Of Of course, who's to say that was even right? Oh, yes, yes, yes. Excellent. Very nice, bright picture. Let's put the brightness up all the way there. Down a bit. Let's see, there's a vertical hold. Seems like it's locking vertically pretty well. Contrast. So horizontal seems to be way off. I think on the back you get height, vertical linearity, and brightness. Horizontal hold is this goofy little plastic thingamabob that sticks out. I'm having trouble turning. I'm gonna turn this thing around so I can get at it better. So it's this plastic lever here that goes around to a slug, horizontal oscillator. It's having some effect as I turn it. Getting there, getting there. Hey, as you get close, you start getting fewer and fewer horizontal lines. Turn the contrast down. There is a low-high switch on the back, or a local distance switch. So let's try flipping that. Not making a huge difference either way. Let's put the brightness up all the way. And now with the signal fed in directly to the internal terminals. Just curious, looks like the vertical oscillator takes a little while to start running. It's alright, but the picture's pretty washed out looking. I expect it to be a lot sharper than that. So might need to do a bit of an alignment on this. Well, we're trying to adjust the controls on the back for height and linearity, and they are just frozen solid. I think this has got way too much height. Can't see the station logo down here, and I notice people's heads are being chopped off, so I think it's really stretched too much. And getting that adjusted right may help with the picture definition. Also, I'll play around a bit more with that ion trap magnet and make sure it's in exactly the right spot. Alright, so the controls on the back of this set are not working so well. There's 3 of them. Brightness is kind of crunchy, and the other 2 will not rotate. They're mounted on this back metal plate held in by 2 sheet metal screws. I just took those out so we can see the controls here. And I can see that at least one of them is corroded. I've seen this type of control before. They're fairly cheap, and when they get rusty on this inner edge, they freeze up. So this one is a crunchy one. I can see there's some rust down in there. It does rotate, and the other two are frozen. I expect with a little bit of force, which isn't too hard to do because they give you slots on the back here. That screwdriver's a little bit too big though. A little bit of force, I can probably break them loose. But what I'm more inclined to do is to unmount them and clean them out. Maybe replace them. It's too hard to. But I don't really feel like digging around for replacement controls. Get these to work well enough. Oh, okay. I was all the way at one extreme. Wow, easy enough. Oh, that one's really rusty. Oh, it's certainly moving well now. Well, I got this exposed. I'll shoot some deoxide in there. Also swapped out the video amp tube and one of the IF tubes. I think it improved the picture slightly. I really don't want to do an alignment if I don't have to. It's not so easy on these portable sets. Everything's so kind of tough to get at. Might as well hit this local distance switch on here too. And I'll check these resistors. So I didn't seem to notice a huge difference when I was switching between local and distance. Basically, I think when it's distance mode, the signal goes straight through, and when it's a local, there's a bit of attenuation. Well, something else I should mention is that I have not put any shielding back in place, which may help things. So this guy gets tack soldered down at these 2 points, and 2 screws go through the back, and all this wiring, I think it's either mushed down inside or goes around the outside. I'll have to refer to some reference photos for that. And then there were the tube shields that were all disintegrated. Now I did take off the bases for those, and I removed the rust, and these can be remounted on the circuit board. And then I need to come up with tube shields. See, the originals were cardboard tubes that had aluminum foil or some type of foil around the inside. Well, they just disintegrated away. I should really replace them to provide some shielding on those IF tubes. I'm not sure if I really have much on hand, but I'll see what I can come up with. Alright, now I can adjust the height and linearity.
A transfusion from you to your father.
It would seem the only answer. It could damage you internally. It could kill you.
Of course, I need a test pattern to get it right, but it's already looking better. Things have shrunk down a bit. I can see the station logo in the lower right now.
I won't risk both of you. Then you automatically condemn Sarek to death. You now have the
And I just put the one shield on the back over the circuit board. I haven't put the tube shields on yet, but yeah, I think things are looking a lot better now. Now that I can properly adjust all the controls. Alright, so what's left? Well, I gotta pop out the CRT and code it with a proper conductive coating. And I want to put a polarized plug on the back for safety reasons. And clean up some of this wire dross. And still got to deal with the yoke. Now I didn't even put the centering magnets back on there. It's pretty well centered as it is, so I don't know how critical that is. And the yoke is actually pretty secure now. The mechanism they use the mechanism they used to secure the yoke is this kind of rubber thing with the spring around it that pushes up against it, and that's okay. It's really just plastic to cover up the wiring points there. I don't know how critical it is, but I really don't think I can salvage that. I guess I could look through junk box and look for a yoke that I can scavenge one from, but otherwise, maybe I'll just leave it like that. And then, of course, there's the cabinet, but I'm not going to deal with that now. I'll repaint it at some point in the future.